The following program is sponsored by the awesome Nossum Group and Dan Keller. This is Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum.
Well, when you're selling, you got to know who your buyer is and you got to know how to market to them. I do.
And Dan Keller, mortgage expert with New American Funding.
Hey, rates are important, but strategy matters more than ever.
For the next hour, you'll learn impactful insider information as Christian and Dan teach about the ins and outs of Seattle's real estate market. Now, here's Christian and Dan.
Hello. Good afternoon and happy Monday, or maybe you're listening on Saturday because they are now rebroadcasting us on Saturdays. Saturday 5 to 6 apparently.
Big promotion.
Because we're cool like that.
Ratings are through the roof.
Ratings are through the roof. If we had ratings.
Hey, they wouldn't have put us there if we were garbage,
that's probably true. Yeah, they wouldn't be doing it if no one was listening.
It's relevant. It's a hot topic. Everybody either rents or owns, and real estate, you can have a real estate conversation with anybody right now. So it's a relevant topic.
That's true.
It's a darn good show.
Yeah. So welcome to Seattle Real Estate Radio. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
My name is Dan Keller.
Yes.
Mortgage advisor at New American Funding.
MLO number
115349.
I always make them say it.
For compliance, if anybody's listening.
And I am Christian Nossum with the awesome Nossum Group at Wilson Realty. I am a local Seattle real estate agent.
And one of the top 10 in the Seattle market, according to a recent poll that was just, it was actually an article. Showed up
about a week ago.
Yep. So
that was fun.
Kudos to you, man. You're kicking butt.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun doing this.
So I'm gonna start today.
Yes, we have a good topic right off the bat.
Great topic, but I'm gonna just ask our listeners a question.
Okay.
If a tree were to fall on your home, crush your roof, do massive damage to your home, what would you do next? Who do you call, and what would you do next? Most people, first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna call your insurance.
Yep.
But what in the heck do you do then? We're going to solve that question and answer it with, in my opinion, a phenomenal answer, but a phenomenal resource. So you're going to want to stick around today.
Yeah, this is going to be a good show.
It's going to be a good one.
That was one of your best teasers ever, Dan.
Was it a teaser?
Yeah, that was a teaser.
Intro?
I think that's what they call it in the biz.
Well, and you know, our guest today happens to be a real live client of mine right now.
Yeah.
It's not his own business. He's actually, I think, the general manager, the estimator. But Karl Green's a great client of mine, and I've actually worked with his brother and his what would that be, nephew? So
Nice.
a good friend of mine is his nephew. So hey, this is going to be a really good show. But it's what we do. It's we're trying to give our listeners, our past clients, our future clients, just education and information on everything mortgage and real estate related.
Exactly.
So this ties into it.
Yeah.
Don't expect anything bad to happen, but when it does.
Yeah. I mean, that's I was kind of posed myself that question just now, and I was like, well, who the heck do you call? And it's like, okay, well, I guess I call my insurance company. But
and then your insurance company's going to say, well, you got to get some bids. And
exactly. And you're like,
what happens if
the tree fell?
Yeah.
I have water pouring into my house.
You're not staying there.
Exactly. What do I do?
Go to a hotel.
I guess. So this is why he's on the show today. Because, I mean, like 2 weeks ago, we had that big windstorm. Did you guys lose power at that?
We did not, but a month or so ago we did. Well, it was probably a couple of months ago, but we did. We had a large tree just miss our house, but it took out a part of the fence in the back portion of our property where we have a little kids' play area.
Yeah.
And fell about 5 feet from the kids' playhouse, which is you could actually spend the night in there. It's a pretty decent sized little fort playhouse. Yeah.
So when you build the batting cage, that's my guest house?
No, actually, the batting cage is going to be hooked onto the 3-bay garage, which has a loft above, which
that's the batting cage, or
shh, don't tell Jenny.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but no, that's where the batting cage will go on the other side over there. But we actually have plans for that right now. So
sweet,
we're building it out.
I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna be staying the night.
Bowden's gonna be a stud. I'm gonna tell you what, that kid between you and I, he's gonna be a stud when he's ready to play in about 3 or 4 years. So yeah.
Speaking of baseball, spring training, it's going on. We're getting close to opening day.
Baseball synonymous? Is that synonymous baseball with your birthday?
Yes.
Because your birthday is always right before.
Right at or around opening day.
Yep.
Yeah. So probably why I love baseball so much.
Yeah. Well, I've been reading about the M's, as everybody has around here. Just it's that glimmer of hope that's slightly out of
That
our
we
reach
always have.
every spring. Yeah, every spring.
I have a good feeling about them.
It's a darn good lineup. I mean, I come from coaching at the college and semi-pro ranks. I would not, if I were a pitcher, would not want to throw to that lineup.
Yeah, because everybody can get on
Everybody
base.
can hit. Yeah.
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 And that's not what you want. You don't
Nope.
want people on base.
No.
We're not a sports talk radio show, but we both love sports.
Well, we both
baseball.
know a little about baseball. You used to work for the Mariners. I coached at a pretty high level, so I think our conversations may be a little bit more intelligent than some talk radio shows. But here's the thing:
That's actually a pretty good point.
It could be a segment we should do on the Mariners. But let's bring in one of their coaches. But no, I wouldn't want to throw that lineup. And so it's dangerous 1 through 9, and gosh, let's root for him again. But let's hope that we continue to root for him after the 3rd or 4th month. So that'll be good.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a good season.
I think so, too. It's going to be exciting. I mean, April's always exciting because we're always, we still have a chance. No matter how bad we are, we're still
so
have a chance.
optimistic, man. I love
All right, speaking of optimism, we've had some recent appraisal issues.
Yeah.
This is not speaking of optimism, by the way. That was kind of sarcasm, but you can't tell that through the radio sometimes.
No, but how we handle them and how we address them is from an optimistic standpoint. I mean, you have to be.
So first, let's explain what an appraisal is for people, and then explain if the appraisal comes in low, how do we handle that?
So you don't necessarily, as a real estate professional, deal with appraisals. No. Okay, it's a lending. So
yeah.
What we teach in our home buying classes is the home inspector is not the appraiser. The home inspector goes out before you write an offer or after you write an offer, because you have a period.
Competitiveness of the market. Yep.
And the inspector basically goes through the house, which we had a great inspector on the show a month or so ago.
Alki Inspections.
Yep, Alki Inspections. Yep. And so what they do is they just basically, they don't tear apart the house, but they go inside and out of the house, from the crawl space to
the attic,
everything, ins and outs, electrical, plumbing.
Yep.
And they diagnose basically what you're buying. They're giving you kind of an idea, inside-out idea of what you're buying, the condition of the home.
Yep.
The appraiser is going to take a similar approach, but not as deep.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not going to peel back as many layers. What they're going to do is they're mainly going to look at numbers. They're going to look at comparable sales. They're going to look at square footage, some of the numbers, the demographics of the home, the areas, the neighborhoods, and then kind of calculate value accordingly. And then they come out and they visit the home and actually look at the upgrades, the physical condition, any additions, lot square footage, views, etc.
So just to recap, the home inspector, he's actually he's like a home detective looking for issues with the actual house for your personal good.
Yep.
The appraiser, on the other hand, is taking a little bit bigger picture, looking at the numbers of the area of home values, and that's really what they're trying to figure out. They're trying to pin down the home value. So they're looking at comparable sold homes in the area. They're looking at the actual house, looking at what's sold recently, blah, blah, blah.
So essentially the appraiser works for the bank.
Yep.
Okay. The home inspector works for the buyer, the borrower. Okay. So let's stop right now and let me give you the definition of an appraiser or an appraisal.
Okay.
An appraisal is one person's professional opinion of value, period.
Yep.
This is where it's causing kind of a problem right now in our industry. It's not just our bank. I have colleagues at larger banks, local banks, other mortgage lenders like myself, brokers, and it's an issue in our industry right now, especially in Seattle, because we're seeing our last week, you talked about what was the percentage of increase appreciation?
In Seattle, I think it was 24 or 29% increase in home prices.
That's
in a
dynamic.
year.
So that's way outside of the norm. A good year is what, 7 to 9? So think that's 3x. That's 3 times the
normal
good
appreciation.
Normal. Yeah. So what appraisers are having a hard time right now putting their thumb on is what is today's value, but you can't necessarily look at what today's value when the market's appreciating so quickly when you have 14 offers on a home and escalations $80,000 above list price. Yeah. Because those, unfortunately, Christian, they're looking at that. They're looking at MLS data, the list price. And then they look at the purchase and sale and they see that delta, that gap, and it's not adding up. And then they're having to solve for that. And they're not. Some of them are again, it's one man or woman's professional opinion of value. It's a human being. It's not an algorithm. It's not a computer. It's not Zillow. Yeah. So, yeah, we've had we've had a couple of appraisals come in low. I've had a couple of refinances come in low on value. And so, what do you do? So here's the thing. What do you do when that happens? Well, the first thing, you better hope that you're working with a smaller, a local mortgage company. And what you do is you get with the real estate professional and you ask them to support value with comparable sales. Real estate agents are down in the trenches. Okay. You guys are down in the trenches every day. You're marketing and selling real estate.
Yep.
Okay. So we come to you. Hey, Christian, we missed this last appraisal by $10,000. You listed the home. Help us support how you came up with this value, how you came up with listing the home at, $580,000, for example.
Yeah.
And then we go and we support that and we give that to the appraisal management company. A big myth out there is that we, the lender, have access to the appraiser.
Where you can talk to them
we don't.
one-on-one.
You cannot. I can lose my job and lose the deal if we talk to the appraiser.
And the reason that's there is because of the bubble that happened before, where there were a small number, but a number nonetheless, of crooks, basically, people that were partnering up with the appraisers to inflate values at numbers that weren't.
Here's $100 and a 6-pack of beer. I need this to come in at value.
Yep.
I wasn't in the industry during that time. Those are some of the stories I've heard.
Yeah.
So to prevent that, a few years ago, they created what's called an AMC, Appraisal Management Companies, and an appraiser is randomly selected. And if you have to talk to them at all, then you have to submit it to the portal, and then the portal then relays that message to the appraiser.
So there's a middleman that
appraisal management company. So that's the middleman. And so anyhow, you dispute it, you submit it, they reply back, and you go from there. If at the end of the day you arrive and there's a $10,000 delta in price, appraisal came in at $570, the list price was $580, you then go back to negotiating. Yep. You can cancel the deal, you can negotiate, the buyer can bring an extra $10,000, they can pay $10,000 more for the home, the seller, you can split it in the middle, the seller can go back and give up $10,000. Then we pass that back to you and say, okay, it's
that's
back
where I take over as the real estate agent to figure out how to make up that difference.
Yeah.
So, it's not fun to do at all.
No.
But it is part of the potential in this market right now when prices are going up so quick. Yeah.
A lot of lenders and a lot of agents are seeing it. So working with a pro that knows how to handle it, like you have twice now successfully, we've come out of it alive and closed the transaction.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to, again, who you hire matters.
Definitely.
You got to make sure someone that knows what they're doing is on your side.
Yeah.
So we got to take a quick break. Stay tuned for Seattle Real Estate Radio after this.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
All right, hey, welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300. And wow, I'm pretty excited.
I know.
This is going to be, like we talked about in the first segment, this is going to be a good show. This is going to be an opportunity to give a lot of advice, crucial advice on when you don't really expect something bad to happen. But, my wife was in a fender bender the other day.
Oh.
She called me. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, I appreciate it, but you need to call the insurance agent. Yep. The guy was being a jerk, that was involved in the accident with her. And so sometimes people don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's a stressful situation, and you're not thinking straight to begin with. Say if a tree falls on your roof in the middle of the night in a windstorm. You're half asleep. You're not thinking straight. You're going, what do I do?
Yep.
And that's why we have Karl Green in here today.
Yeah.
So we have Karl Green. He is an estimator with Nordic Services, a restoration company. He's worked in the construction and real estate fields for a little over 30 years. During all those years, he's worked building large commercial structures such as churches and multi-storied condo complexes, as well as tenant improvement build-outs. He has also held a commercial electrical license and a real estate license. So kind of knows my side of the business as well. He's had his own general contracting company which specializes in adaptive housing remodels for disabled veterans, and he is going to teach us a lot about what to do in a situation that you hopefully don't ever have to be in. But if you do, after today, you will know what to do. So, Karl, thank you very much for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and we got some, thanks to him, some cool swag. some Nordic Services Inc. hats and footballs and pins and.
I might be playing catch with
I know.
producer across the hall.
Yeah, at my office we have one of these balls that's kind of gotten chunked out a little bit here and there. Someone took some bites out of it. I think it's probably Bowden or something, my son. But this will be a good replacement since the one that I have is not doing so well. So, Karl, first off, the first segment, we always like to kind of lay the groundwork, the basics of what's going on with your company and what you guys do. So first off, why don't you explain to us what Nordic Services Incorporated does?
Nordic Services is a restoration company, so that pretty much comes into play anytime there's been some type of a disaster for a homeowner.
Okay.
Fire, water. Now that water can be outside damage from storms. It can also be a failed appliance, a failed plumbing fixture, broken pipe inside of walls during freezing weather, all of those types of issues. We also do full construction though as well. It's not just restoration. We also do remodels. We can do rebuilds or we can build from ground up for a brand new home.
Wow. So a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. And we do commercial as well, not just residential.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So let's give a little explanation or example of, say, a tree falls on my house in the middle of the night. Are you the first person I call? Do I call the insurance company? How does this work? What process do I go through?
First person you should be calling is your insurance company.
Okay.
They always will have an on-call person. It doesn't matter what time of the day or night. There's always somebody available. They're going to give you direction, and that sometimes is based upon an individual company. They all have some differences in how they respond. Some of them will tell you who to call. If it is a tree that has fallen and it has broken through the structure, obviously safety is their biggest and foremost concern. Remove all the people out of the house if you feel it's of danger. But also getting a hold of a Nordic service to come out and to assess, remove if it is a tree that has fallen into the house, and get the structure stable so that nothing else can happen. It's also vital to get it protected. To stop as much damage as possible.
So usually in a windstorm, there's rain as well.
Correct.
So you got rain pouring into the hole that the tree just made in your roof.
That is correct.
So you guys, would you come out in the middle of the night?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We're 24-hour EMS services.
So you're like the second phone call, basically.
Yes, we are.
So first I'm going to call my insurance company. Do I need to ask them, hey, do you guys work with Nordic Services, or...
You can, or you can just simply tell them we would like to use Nordic Services. They have that option. A lot of them during that time, because if they've never experienced it before, they're not going to know who.
Well,
so they may actually look for some help.
Exactly. That's why today's show is so important, and why I want to share this with all my past and future clients.
Yes.
In case something does happen, because you just never know. And being prepared is so vital, and it's a scary time to go through something like that. Whether it's a fire or water damage or whatever, it's never fun.
It's typically an unknown for most homeowners.
Exactly. So so you can actually, if a tree fell in my house, I could actually tell my insurance company, hey, I know the guys over at Nordic Services. I want to use them. I'm going to call them now.
Yes.
They would go, okay, fine, go for it.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, that helps me because now I know.
Well, and a lot of our guests enlighten us as to, things we didn't know. I learned from last week's guest in regards to moving and some of the things that go on there. So this is huge for me to know. Karl, so when these events happen, I know you mentioned you're a 24-hour service, but literally, you would encourage the client at 2 a.m.
Absolutely.
to call you guys, or wait until the next morning?
No, they're typically you have to be able to assess how severe is the damage. This past weekend, we have had multiple EMS calls. One picture that a homeowner sent us was a tree laying through the middle of the house.
Wow.
That is not something you want to wait on.
No. Yeah, exactly.
You need to have that addressed immediately. Again, we want to stop any additional damage that could happen. And so there are times when you do have to make an assessment. Where do we start this? When do we start this? But when it's catastrophic, you call.
Yeah,
Okay.
makes sense. So do you have any sort of relationship with insurance companies?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We work with, I don't know of an insurance company that we don't work with.
Cool.
Truthfully. We do have relationships with a number of them. We do get phone calls directly from adjusters. We have relationships as estimators. And if we have proven ourselves in the past to them, they don't hesitate to call us and say, we have a severe problem. We received a phone call over the weekend from the explosion. Over in Greenwood,
Green Lake,
from one of the
Greenwood, yeah.
local people.
Yep. Wow.
So we have that relationship, but it's not just the adjusters.
Okay, since we're on that, I don't mean to hijack your interview.
Totally
Christian.
hijacking me, Dan. You see me giving you the stink
Well, he
eye
mentioned
over here.
Greenwood, and that was in my, so
Just
Greenwood was
joking.
in my notes so that was explosion, fire related. You just talked about a tree falling on a home. So let's talk about fire. In a situation like that, obviously we have the fire department, police department. How soon do you guys normally get in there? Are you brought in right away with them?
It depends. If there's an investigation going, obviously we cannot get in there.
Yeah, makes sense.
You have to wait until that part is completed. But we a lot of times are waiting on the sidelines
Okay.
to be given the all clear.
Got it.
Saying, okay, things are ready, go ahead and get started on the board ups of whatever that is, whether it's broken glass, broken doors, windows, whatever it takes.
Got it. So who is the one that's actually paying for your services? Is that me? Is that part of the insurance company? Do you work with them to figure that out? How does all that play out?
Typically, on the EMS side, they've already been given authority. The homeowner has been given authority by the insurance company. We will take care of the EMS service. There are some things that they don't take care of or they have limits to. So as a homeowner, you do need to be aware of that. But typically, they've been given the authority. When we go in, we do have a homeowner sign a contract. They will in turn be reimbursed from the insurance company. We don't actually bill until we know all of the work is completed, meaning EMS is done, home is ready to go. But we don't ask for that money at the time that we walk away.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are actually very good about getting that first payment out. And so it's typically not out of pocket for a homeowner.
Nice.
It's usually reimbursed really relatively quickly.
So it's good to have someone like you guys on kind of speed dial in case something happens.
Absolutely.
Because it's not going to be out of my pocket anyways, even though I'm paying someone that I know is going to take care of me.
Correct.
And make my life easier.
Correct.
Which is why I am so thankful that you came on today to help people out in situations like this. Because again, it's a scary time. If you have a fire, if you have a tree fall in your house, you have whatever the issue is, even a pipe bursting in your house.
Right.
It's
And a
not
lot of
fun.
times, the insurance companies are trying to take care of the initial problem. They don't, or the homeowner doesn't know to ask, okay, what do I need to do next? Can I get the insurance to pay for housing while I'm out of the house? Especially in fires. Most homes cannot be occupied right after a fire. Even if it was a non-combustible flame fire where it was just smoke, the acidity in smokes are so severe that you don't really want to be in your home during that time. So those are the questions, and we can't necessarily answer them for the insurance company, but we can give the homeowner the information to call their insurance companies back and say, okay, what is the process?
You're kind of there as almost like an advisor to an extent, just because you've been through it so many times before. It's not necessarily that you're going to tell them what to say step by step.
It's not new business for us.
Exactly. So you know what to help us out help us out with in case we needed something.
Yeah, I think typically what people do is they'll call mom or dad or brother, sister, uncle, aunt, somebody, and say, "Oh my gosh, this just happened. What do I do?" And they're looking for advice, and sometimes it's almost like the blind leading the blind, so to say. They're not getting the best advice.
Which is why I think today's show is pretty dang important.
I think everybody needs to know about this. I mean, it's in the event. It's like when we had the insurance professional on. You know what? When something bad does happen, which we don't expect it to do, at least you're prepared. At least you know. We're getting ready to do a segment on being prepared for an earthquake. If something were to happen, how can you be best prepared? Who do you call? What do you do? A situation like this, if your house is, since we're on that topic real quick, if your house is damaged in an earthquake, would we call you?
Again, you need to assess how bad is the damage. If you're concerned that the house is going to fall in, you could call us, but we're going to ask that same question because we obviously cannot send our crews out into a dangerous situation. We had that happen last fall during one of the big wind and rainstorms where the mudslide was still active.
Oh, yeah.
And we made the assessment. We cannot send our crews into that. And by rights, they should not have any of their family, friends, or neighbors in there.
At that point in time, you're saying, hey, it's smart to...
Material things do not matter enough.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Exactly. All right. So we got to take a quick break, but after the break, Karl's going to tell us about some little loopholes and things that we need to structure in our homeowner's insurance to properly cover ourselves and our homes in case of a major event. So stay tuned for more Seattle Real Estate Radio.
Stay tuned. There's more Seattle Real Estate Radio coming up here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL. We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio on KKOL 1300 AM. We are back with Karl Green of Nordic Services Inc. He is talking to us about rebuilding after a major issue in your house has occurred. So we're talking fire, tree, water, all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, we're gonna go deep here in a few seconds. I wanted to ask you, and we got cut off. We needed to go to break. Service areas. Are you primarily just Seattle, or you guys move up into Snohomish and Pierce County?
We do move into Snohomish and Pierce County both. Plus, we also have a Bremerton office, so we take care of most of kids.
I bet you guys had your hands full during that windstorm a few months back, huh?
We have had our hands full since last summer's windstorm.
Yeah. Wow.
It has been very interesting to get all of that repaired back for homeowners.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Man. Yeah. I wanted to hit on that because we were on that topic.
I was going to ask if you had like a busy season. Yeah. Seems like
I would say typically our busy season is this time of year from October through February, April, whenever those big storms come. But last year and so far this year has been a little bit strange. It's just been continuous.
Global warming is not real though, so it's okay.
Well, I mean, Karl, I appreciate you taking time to come in here today and talk with us and share some insight with our viewers.
Yes.
Or viewers.
Well, they are viewers.
Listeners. One thing I'm going to talk a little bit more of we're going to go a little deep here on code. We're going to talk a little about...
First segment's always the laying the groundwork. Yeah. Second segment, we always go way more in-depth, and that's what we're about to do.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some of my questions, because we sync up before these interviews. These aren't just thrown together off the cuff. This is really important. I want to lay the foundation for this segment. In the back of your mind right now, start thinking homeowners insurance. Start thinking your policy, maybe even pull it out.
Yeah.
Hit pause if you're watching this on YouTube and maybe go
listen to the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, with considering with what we've already talked about, are there any loopholes that people may be missing in regards to their current homeowners insurance coverage if something like this were to happen?
I would say the biggest issue is people not being aware of some add-ons to their policy.
Okay.
We have, especially code correction, I would say is one. I would say probably, I don't know what the actual percentage is. The majority of people do have it. But for the ones that do not have code correction, it can be a real issue, especially if you own an older home.
So explain to us real quick what code, I know this is big in Seattle.
Especially in Seattle, and I know a lot of older homes.
I know what code correction is, but explain to our listeners and our viewers what code correction actually is.
Anytime you have major catastrophe within your home, tree strike, fire, severe water damage where you actually have affected the structure, you are going to have the repairs permitted within, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you are in today. You need to have it permitted, and you need to have it permitted not just for yourself, but for everybody. The insurance company is going to want to, because they want to know their house is being to be built back. The mortgage companies want to know the house is going to be built back and that they have a sellable house again. So part of that code correction is in an older home. If it's 30, even if it's 20 years old, but you go back to where it's 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and nothing has ever happened to that home.
Yeah.
Code correction is no longer a $500 tab. We're talking 5, 10, 20,000.
Yeah.
It can really grow.
So what that means is
exponentially.
basically, if there was an issue, you now need to bring your house up to the current standards, code standards.
That is
That's
correct.
what we're talking about.
Even if you assumed the home, even if you bought the home, you sold them the home 5 years ago, and there was no problem with the inspection or the appraisal.
Yeah, well,
however,
and that's not what an inspector
Exactly.
looks for.
Yep.
either.
No,
Exactly.
it is not. And rightfully, it's not their responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do accept responsibility when we purchase those older homes. But part of that responsibility is making sure you have your protection for yourself.
Exactly.
This segment's so huge. If you're listening, this is something that can save you. And again, that's the reason why we have this show, is to upfront help our clients save money, but even as current existing clients to help protect them and save them money
In the future.
over the life of the loan and or the life of the transaction and in the future. So, okay, you mentioned something. I want to go back to something that you mentioned in the event that the home has to be rebuilt the way it should be. So let's say something happens, a severe storm, and the home has severe damage, and it's an older home. So getting that rebuilt back to the way, I mean, it could involve a complete rebuild.
Correct.
So let's say the home was built, and there'd been a few remodels, and maybe a couple of those were pre-code or back in the 60s or 70s where there wasn't a code, maybe. Permits weren't required.
Yep.
And so you're saying that some insurance companies, if you don't have the right protection, could say, well, we're only going to provide this, and that could only get that person to a certain point
Correct.
in the rebuild.
That is correct.
And then you're out of pocket.
And remember, code correction is not just the code correction itself. It could also mean the required engineering to bring that home back to where it should
And when
be.
I hear that, and when you
Yeah,
hear
I
that,
think
you
of
should be
money.
thinking
Dollar
money.
signs.
Exactly. That's
Ching.
what that's.
Yeah.
Ching,
Yep.
ching.
Wow.
Typical engineering bill on a smaller issue is usually be anywhere from $2,500 to $4,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen
So
up. Yeah,
make
this is
sure your
important.
insurance is set up. And remember, we've had insurance providers on in the past. Might not be a bad idea to touch base with them and have them review your policy to see.
Yep.
And if you have one that you already know and trust, talk to them about this stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure you're covered.
Yeah. The key words are the code corrections.
Yeah, okay.
You know, that will definitely bring up the information that they're looking for.
We've had a couple of great real estate insurance professionals on our show. So you can certainly search on the site if you would like to connect with one of ours. Call yours. But these are some great conversations you need to be having. Let's talk about permits. So what happens if a property has some non-conforming issues and we have to assess permits?
Have to be addressed.
Okay.
Same
And
thing.
most insurance companies understand that and they cover it.
Okay.
I don't know that I have ever had an insurance company not cover the permitting and fees required.
Well,
Good.
okay.
They understand. It's a litigious nature that we're in today.
Exactly.
And they're covering themselves.
Yep.
Okay. So considering that we just came out of a windy season, actually a windy year, it's been pretty windy around here this last year. What are the most common things that you're seeing right now in regards to like severe damage?
Well, even this past weekend with the windstorm, or Monday, I guess it was. Like I said, we've had multiple tree strikes that we've had to go out on.
Okay.
It is, we love our trees,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
unfortunately, when
They
the
don't
winds
love
come
us.
through, they don't love us back.
Well, that's why I asked you about Snohomish County.
Yeah.
It's really, obviously, it's...
And the bigger part of that, too, is maintenance. If you are on a property that has trees, you need to make sure you're maintaining those trees.
let's talk about that.
Yeah,
while
that was
we're
one of
here.
the questions
Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, let's talk about
so
that.
what can you do for, say you have a bunch of really tall trees? How do you maintain them? What do you do to try to prevent them from falling on your house or whatever?
Keep them healthy.
Okay.
If you notice that the trees are starting to fail, and our cottonwood trees, our alder trees, they have a short life expectancy. If you don't take care of those at the time when they're starting to fail, they are going to fall on something at some point. If you have a fir tree and you notice that the crown on that fir tree is starting to fail, it is time to remove it.
And if you're if you're concerned that maybe you have a tree like this, look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up online and see what the signs of failure are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's being cognizant, and also take care of the property itself, the building. If you do have trees around, you need to be a minimum of 2 times a year up on the roof, removing needles, removing leaves out of gutters. Backed up gutters cause more issues on the exteriors of home because the water backs up and can potentially get into or behind the siding of a house. Then you have dry rot. Then you have mold issues. So maintenance, I cannot express how important it is as a homeowner.
And if you don't want to do it yourself as a homeowner, anybody watching or listening, just go online and find someone. Go to Yelp, go to Groupon, whatever. Just find someone to go out there and clean your gutters. It's not expensive. And you're going to save yourself in the long run.
Well, I mean, and Carl's been in the industry forever. So if not, send us a message and we'll ping Carl and say, hey, who do you recommend? Or hey, we've got a client of ours or a listener of ours that is looking for this. So before we get off this topic, because I've got a couple of questions that are kind of going to take us in a different direction. You mentioned, getting back to kind of the insurance and loopholes, line of sight.
Yes.
And how they're looking at that. Let's talk about that real quick, because
so this is another insurance term, line of sight. So why don't you explain what that is real quick, and then...
So a line of sight issue is if you've had a failure in the house somewhere, and let's say the kitchen caught on fire, and the flooring runs continuous through the house, but you have door openings. A lot of the insurance companies today are going to a line of sight replacement, where before they would replace the flooring so that it would be a continuous covering. Today, if it's at a door opening, they will stop it there, meaning that if the old flooring is no longer available, they will not do a complete repair throughout.
Looks like we need to get an insurance professional back on and hit him with some hard questions.
Exactly.
Some tough
Grill
ones.
him some
Yeah,
more.
because I'm learning about this. And
it even goes into cabinetry, especially if we're talking about kitchens where they're no longer worried about the upper cabinets not exactly matching the lower cabinets. And as a homeowner, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay, so we've got a couple minutes left, and I'm going to ask you different questions on a different topic now about new construction. Okay. We hear a lot that you guys have worked on new construction defects and repairs.
We have, yes. Those are, new construction defects are typically caused by contractors or subcontractors who are not aware of manufacturer installation.
Okay.
And so those are the things you want to watch out for.
I wish we had 2 hours to spend here.
I know, we could go forever.
Stuff like this is crucial to home ownership. So I want you to understand this. Nordic Services Inc. has been in business since 1982, servicing homeowners and the home insurance industry. Nordic Services is also a part of a national franchise known as 1-800-BOARD-UP, which responds to fire and natural disasters to help facilitate the securing of buildings and properties. Nordic Services also manages their own EMS department, helping with securing and or the protection of properties after fires, windstorms, flooding, etc. for homeowners or insurance adjusters handling claims. That's huge. I mean, I'm thinking, who does that? What contracting company would have an EMS department? So this is really great. One last thing, Nordic Services is a full spectrum construction company. Obviously, we didn't even have a chance to go into that, which I budgeted some time to talk more about that. But they're a full spectrum construction company working both in the residential remodel and commercial spaces. So whether you need a ground up or a simple patch and paint, Nordic Services is a great resource to lean on. So they can be reached at 206-522-9570. We're going to share their information on SeattleRealEstateRadio.com as well.
Yep. That was great. Thank you very much, Carl.
Welcome.
You were awesome. I think everyone learned a lot. But we got to take a quick break. So stay tuned for Seattle Real Estate Radio after the break.
We're back with more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller.
Hello, and welcome back to Seattle Real Estate Radio here on KKOL 1300 AM. It is time for Dan's Mortgage Minute.
Welcome to this week's Mortgage Minute with Dan Keller.
That was awesome. I'm loving it. So if you're listening, obviously, if you're listening
you don't know
live right now, you don't know what just happened. Karl Green, what a stud. He brings us in some hats and some swag. Well, he brought us in a bunch of little footballs. And you guys watching on YouTube.
On the sky cam.
Just got to see one right. And it was a perfect right over the sky cam.
Right over the top of it.
So that was really good. So here's the thing. Mortgage Minute today.
Yeah.
Market's just same thing. The rates have moved up. The market's showing a little bit of stability. I'm not going to focus necessarily on interest rates and what's driving that.
Dan, tell me your MLO number for compliance issues.
Yes, thank you. Just save my bacon, brother.
That's why I'm here.
MLO,
friends, help friends.
MLO number 115349. I am a mortgage advisor at New American Funding. Listen, rates have moved up. They've trickled up a little. Nothing to be worried about. I think it's just we're starting to see some stabilization in oil. Like I said a week ago, keep your eyes on China. Keep your eyes on Canada.
Watch
watch their economies. Watch their dollar. Oil's just wreaking havoc on everything and everyone. But in the meantime, you can fill up your tank for $40 and no one's complaining.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
Get a really low 30-year fixed rate. So
yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about today, because I'm doing a lot of this with refinances, if you purchased in the last 3 or 4 years, and if you did not put 20% down, you're paying what's called private mortgage insurance. Okay, it's a premium that you pay monthly to protect the lenders in the event that you default, since you did not put 20% down. With low rates right now, as low as they've been in the last 3 or 4 years, it may make sense to refinance out of PMI. So I want you to, my information's on the website. You can reach me anytime at thedankellergroup.com. Just go to seattlerealestateradio.com. My contact info is there, and I'd be happy to do a free mortgage review just to see if we can save you some money on mortgage interest.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Dan,
or PMI,
and the nice thing about Dan, like I was just going to say, is he's not a high pressure guy. No. You can reach out to him, ask him questions. Yep. He's not going to force you or trick you into anything. He's honest. That's why I highly recommend him, and that takes a lot for me to do, to recommend anyone. Yeah. I highly recommend reaching out. You're not gonna. He's not gonna. Don't be scared. Yeah. He's not gonna pressure you into anything, which is always.
All I need is a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, and then what I can do is I can look at what you're paying and look at where the market's at, and then what I'll do a lot of the times I reach out to Christian, or I can look up. I'll run an AVM report, get a kind of a more dialed in approach to what your home value is worth. It's a little more accurate than like a Zillow or some comps that you'll find on online sites, and then just see if there's equity there, and if we can remove the PMI. I don't like seeing clients spending $200-300 a month extra in PMI when
you could have gotten rid of it.
You could have got rid of it. Rid of it. And then obviously with rates where they're at, you could maybe save some money on mortgage interest as well.
Yep.
So be happy to take a look at it, but I thought I'd talk about that today, since a lot of the refinances that we're getting right now, we're doing one of two things: removing private mortgage insurance, or actually reducing. People are going from 4.5 on a 30-year fixed down to, for example, I'm not quoting rates, but for example, to a 20 or a 15-year in the low to mid threes, and their payments staying the same or increasing just slightly, and they're cutting their term in half or down by 10 years or so.
So I got a question for you real quick on that. I had a question from an audience member, actually, someone that listens to the show. They asked me when they ran into me on the street, and this is a true story.
Yeah.
They said, hey, I heard the show. Can you get a mortgage? So I have about, 17 years left on my mortgage.
Okay.
I want to move into a new house. It's going to be more expensive, but I don't want a 30-year fixed. Could I do like maybe a 21 or 22-year fixed? Is there like a set thing, or can you kind of customize it to whatever you want?
That's a great question. It's a great part of a mortgage minute we could do on another segment. The answer is yes. One of the reasons why I'm at New American Funding is we're a servicer. We're a direct lender and a servicer. So, I had a client come to me the other day. They were 4 years in to their mortgage. They did not want to reset the amortization, but they wanted to lower the rate. No problem. We did a 26. We did 26-year fixed.
Nice.
I can do a 21-year. I can do a 23, 25.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I thought that was the case, but now I know for sure.
Absolutely.
So I will relay that info
message.
to Ryan. Was his name?
Yep. I love it.
It really was. All right. Well, guess what time it is for me?
I was just going to say, what time is it? And have you hit?
Welcome to this week's Seattle Real Estate Minute with Christian Nossum.
Feels so professional when that starts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jimmy Fallon, look out.
So today, you know how I always do. I always talk about opportunities or specific things that are in the market or what's going on in the market. So the opportunity I want to talk about, and I hinted at this last week. the news and everyone else is focusing on how this is a buyer, or how, not how this is a buyer's market, but how hard it is for buyers right now.
Yeah.
If you own a house right now, you need to be thinking about how this is an opportunity to sell. We are at a point where we have never had so few homes on the market for sale, so little inventory, and prices going up so fast, and so many buyers that want to compete for your home. There are, so a mutual client of ours, I'm helping them find a house right now. She has made 6 offers. She has regularly gone 130 to 150,000 over the asking price and waived every single contingency. And she's gotten beaten out every single time by people willing to go even higher than that. It is insane, and that's what's going on in this market. So as a seller, why this is important is you need to know that especially if you're a landlord that wants to reposition into anything else, especially out of the Seattle area, if you want to go north just a little bit, Shoreline or to Linwood or to Everett or wherever, you can get so much more for your house right now than we have ever before. Prices have never been so high. Competition has never been so strong. You can sell any problem property you have right now for more than you've ever been able to. It's kind of a crazy moment that we're in, and no one's focusing on it. So, especially if you're a landlord. But the other group, and I'm getting a lot of people contacting me because of this. This summer, there's going to be a lot of, because people are reaching out right now about it. This summer, a lot of people that are downsizing. This is the time to do it. You've never had a point in history where there's so little inventory where you can get more for your home. And if you're moving down in price, this is the time to sell. Even if you think you're a year or two off, you might want to reconsider that.
Well, that ties right into what you talked about 2 weeks ago, was that there's a lot of wealth moving out of Seattle.
And a lot of that is people downsizing.
Yep. So it ties right into that. The proof's in the pudding. Listen, the numbers and the things that you talk about and I talk about in these real estate minutes and these mortgage minutes, and in particular, the whole entire show, we're down in the trenches every day. Like we're battling this. We're battling low appraisals. We're battling getting beat out on offers. Leverage us as resources.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for. That's what we love doing.
We do not have a communications background.
No.
We are not professional radio hosts. We may sound like we are somewhat semi-professional, but we're not even that.
In this full disclosure, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. You throw a mic in front of me, and we just talk about what we love, though.
Yep, exactly. And we're thankfully, both of us love to educate. And let me
backtrack. I don't know what the heck I'm doing on radio. I know what the heck I'm doing in finance. I want to,
And that's why we did the show. Not because we wanted to always be in radio, because neither of us ever had that dream or desire. We really just love to educate and help people out.
Really, I wanted to play for the Mariners. That's all I wanted to do.
So did I, man. You got way further than I ever did.
But look where we ended up.
Yeah.
No, we're living the dream. We love what we do. But listen, leverage us for that information. But speaking of what we do and information and education, we got a homebuyer class coming up.
Yeah, we have a few coming up. I don't know if we want to release the dates yet because we haven't finalized the venue.
We're actually in the process of that. Keep an eye on the website. And we're gonna be talking more about that. The last one we talk about it a lot when we do. We do them about every other month
or so.
Ish. Was packed. I want to say sold out. It's free, so it can't be sold out. But it was packed. There were no more seats available. So
that's the way we do our stuff. They're good information packed classes.
Yep. Great show today, man.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
I think Karl Green's a guy that, like I said, he's a client of mine. I've known of his family. I've known his family. I think his brother sold real estate for a while, a long time actually, and then retired. But great show. I hope it was super informative. If you have any questions, you want to go deeper on any of the questions and topics that we talked about, reach out to us. We're here to help.
Yeah, and if anyone ever has any show ideas, show topics, if you're listening and you think that you can add some value by coming on the show and talking, reach out to us. You can always email info@seattlerealestateradio.com. That's just info@seattlerealestateradio. Thanks again for listening. It's been a great show. Tune in next Monday from 3 to 4, or Saturdays from 5 to 6 here on KKOL 1300 AM.
Cheers.
To contact the show or for more information, visit SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. That's SeattleRealEstateRadio.com. And be sure to tune in again next Monday at 3 for more Seattle Real Estate Radio with your hosts, Christian Nossum and Dan Keller, right here on Business Radio 1300 KKOL.